Good evening, friends. Welcome to our Saturday evening program. I'll ask Olivia to tell us a little bit about the technology before we go too far.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Welcome, friends. It's so nice to be with you this evening. My name is Olivia Brannigan, and I am a member of Wrightstown Meeting, and I serve Philadelphia Yearly Meeting as the Community Engagement Coordinator. I just wanted to go over a few technology things for this evening. The first thing I wanted to tell you was this evening's program is being recorded so that we can post it on our website at a future date. So if you don't want to be in the view of being recorded, please turn off your video, which you can find on most screens at the bottom left-hand corner by clicking on the video recording icon. At the end of the program, we would love to get a screenshot selfie kind of thing. So we will invite folks to smile at the screen while Shelley captures us together. We would love for you to participate, and if you don't feel comfortable with that at the time that we announce it's happening, please turn off your video at that time. That will be at the end of the program. So for this evening's program with City Love, please keep yourself on mute. Unless you are called upon during the breakout sessions when we do that for the program, you can unmute yourself by finding the microphone on most screens in the bottom left-hand corner. If you're calling in using a phone, please dial *6, and that will unmute your microphone. This evening, we will have middle school friends and young friends with us. And I would like to invite the middle school friends and the young friends to please rename themselves for the breakout spaces. So in order to rename yourself, if you go to your picture, you'll see 3 dots at the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that, that will give you an option to rename yourself. So middle school friends will put MSF in front of your name, and young friends, yes, we'll put YF in front of your name. So it's easily identifiable for the breakout spaces. This evening, we will have closed captioning. To access that on most screens, you go to the bottom part of your Zoom toolbar. You may have to click on the 3 dots that says More. So if you click on that, that would give you access to pull up the closed caption. Other screens will have just CC at the bottom, and you click on the bottom arrow and it allows you access to your subtitles. And then the last thing I'd like to go over, if you need access to pastoral care or technology needs, please access us by using the chat. All staff has staff in our nameplate. So you can use the chat function to connect with us. You may also access us by emailing. There's someone minding the email, and you can do that by emailing sessions@pym.org. And then the last way you can find us is by calling the helpline, and that phone number is 717-340-2055. And I'll put all of this information in the chat in case you forget anything. So Jonathan, back to you.
Thank you, Olivia. I'm Jonathan Rhodes from Germantown Meeting, serving as clerk for this evening's session. And I invite members of the clerks group to introduce themselves.
Hi, good evening, friends. My name's Terry Whiteford. I've been serving our community as clerk of Admin Council. I worship at Downingtown Friends Meeting, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, friends. I'm Anthony Stover. My monthly meeting is Germantown Monthly Meeting and the Ujima Friends Peace Center. I serve as the clerk of the Quaker Life Council, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Hi, friends. This is Melissa Rycroft. My faith community is Upper Susquehanna Quarter, and I serve you as clerk of Nominating Council. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hello, friends. I'm Jim Herr. I'm from Lancaster Meeting, and I serve the yearly meeting as a recording clerk, and my pronouns are he, his, him.
Hi, friends. This is Christy Duncan Tesmer from Chestnut Hill Meeting, and I serve our community as the General Secretary and use pronouns she, her, hers.
Andrew, are you on tonight? Do we have any elders who are on tonight that would like to introduce themselves?
I'm Jane Cadwallader from Lancaster Meeting, she, her, hers.
Beth Ann Morgan from Buckingham Meeting, she, her, hers.
Phil Anthony, Chestnut Hill Monthly Meeting, Philadelphia Quarter, he, him, his.
Yolanda Covarrubias, Haverford Monthly Meeting, and Haverford Quarter.
We have members of the pastoral care group on in the meeting this evening that would like to introduce themselves.
Jean Marie Barch, she, her, hers. Schuylkill Monthly Meeting, Palm Quarter.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Blank. I'm a member of Mickleton Meeting, Salem Quarter. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Carter Nash, Harrisburg Meeting, he, him, his.
George Schaefer, Abington Meeting. My pronouns are he, him, and I also serve our community as the Care and Aging Coordinator.
Do we have any visitors with us this evening? Or any members of the Philadelphia yearly meeting who are attending their first yearly meeting annual sessions? Shortly, we're going to have a reading, the first reading of our epistle, which our committee has been busy writing. And then we will have a wonderful performance from the City Love group. And after that performance, we will have an opportunity to discuss the epistle. At any time, it's in order for you to submit something by email to sessions@pym.org about the epistle. A second reading will be held tomorrow morning before we have our closing worship. Melissa, would you like to explain the parameters of the epistle?
Thank you, Jonathan. So for those of you who may not be familiar with an epistle, I just want to say a few words about it so that you can understand what's happening. An epistle is not written for those of us who are in Philadelphia yearly meeting. It's actually our outgoing epistle to the world. So it's where we in PYM are sending out a letter to everyone else, to friends everywhere, telling them about what happened at annual sessions. But it's not really meant for us to recite everything that happened at annual sessions. It is not minutes. So we have recording clerks taking minutes and they will capture all of the details. And an epistle isn't really that. It's not meant to include every detail of everything that happened. It's not a travelogue. So if you want to recite all of the places friends are, it's not that. And it's not really a documentary. It's meant to capture how the Spirit moved among and within us, and for us to share that with friends from other meetings. So as Jonathan mentioned, if you want to provide feedback, you will have the opportunity to do that after the keynote session ends tonight. Tomorrow, the epistle will be presented for approval, and it is definitely the hope of the epistle committee that you will provide all that feedback tonight so they can review it, digest it, incorporate it, and then present the final epistle for approval tomorrow. So hopefully that helps explain what's happening. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the epistle committee for the first reading. So, Yelena, are you ready?
Yes, Yelena.
Yelena, sorry.
That's fine. Hi, good evening, friends. It's my pleasure to present you the first reading of the epistle, which I worked on with friends Joan Bradfield and Anthony Stover. Thank you, TJ. Greetings from the 340th annual sessions of Philadelphia Yearly Meeting of the Religious Society of Friends. These annual sessions took place in the midst of the global COVID-19 pandemic that led friends to meet via Zoom video conferencing technology. This pandemic has exacerbated the very racial injustice and societal inequities that have hindered our spiritual growth within the PYM. Friends met before the start of our 340th annual sessions with a series of plenaries focusing on climate change, membership, and racial justice. The scheduled sessions of yearly meeting began with two voices. One brought a grounding of self-awareness and care with a contagious energy of love and light. A poet who shared her work, offered a collective poem to our community, and invited friends to write their own poetry in the light of love. Our second speaker had a sober offering, tenderly but clearly given, of unrecognized early Quaker history regarding the practice of slavery and tendencies not welcomed but shunned that have kept that history hidden. She invited recognition of the gifts of conflict and anger which may be understood as invitations to discern, an offering to experience and welcome the fire of light and refining. Following the 2021 budget meeting with our treasurer and staff, the 340th annual sessions concluded with a meeting for worship reflecting on the global pandemic and racial concerns affecting friends in the PYM. Friends noted the effect of time and platform on the unfolding of business as decisions required efficient approval separate from discussions informing those decisions. Zoom video conferencing allowed participants to raise their hands and voices, but kept them also at a distance. Our business meeting offered hope and change with a new slate of candidates to serve the PYM. We approved a budget for the upcoming fiscal year that exhibited structures and financial stewardship moving forward in our next year. The rising appointees were welcomed by the community, which was united in approval of these people in their groundedness and calm. We are where God needs us to be, at the beginning of a long pathway leading to home, light, justice, and equality for all people. The divisions of previous sessions seem to be melting as we unify in support of the work that friends and others are doing for justice in our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Yelena. Now let us settle into worship for a few minutes before the performance.
Thank you, friends. At this time, I would like to introduce Elizabeth Croce, who serves Philadelphia Yearly Meeting as the Middle School Friends co-facilitator. Elizabeth?
Good evening, friends. Good to be here with you all. We are so excited and grateful to have City Love join us at Annual Sessions 2020. City Love is a social justice music education group that makes music for the world we need. City Love uses their songs to spread love, hope, justice, dialogue, and healing at assemblies, workshops, residencies, and performances in schools, colleges, and conferences throughout the country. And they recently released a young children's album about race, equity, solidarity, and inclusion. They were Friends in Residence at Haverford College in 2019, as well as Equity in Action grant winners for their Association of Delaware Valley Independent Schools. You can check out their work at muchcitylove.com. City Love also spent today working with PYM's youth programs. They brought great energy, skill in working with young people, big questions for the youth to consider, and encouragement to use their voices to change the world. I have personally known this group and their work for the last few years, and I am always blown away by their powerful presence, their wise teachings, and their moving music. Even though Dwight Dunstan, their City Love's resident Quaker-in-Chief, is not able to be with us this evening, please join me, friends, in welcoming David, Imani, and Brian of City Love.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for that wonderful intro, Elizabeth. We appreciate you.
Time passes as we move to the beat of our souls. But who keeps the rhythm? Nobody seems to know. Can't hold the past, it's true that we can't go on. Oh, you gotta hold on to something or this song is done. Now the love that I'm talking about is found deep within. I said the love that I'm talking about can be shared by anyone. And it's not so simple, you gotta find yourself. You gotta help yourself then help someone else. And if I wrote a love song and told you that it was for you and me, you think that you would listen? Would you take the time to find out what it means? We've been together so long, so long. At times I can't believe the things I see. We've been a long way, come such a long way, got such a long way. We've been a long way, got such a long way, got such a long way.
These ups and downs, we rise and fall, and time keeps marching on. We're all God's people, and we're all born equal, and we're going on. These ups and downs, the world goes round, and you know that we can make it better. These ups and downs, the world goes round, and you know that we can make it better. So this love that I'm talking about lies deep within. So this love that I'm talking about can be shared by anyone. But it's not so simple, you gotta trust yourself. You gotta help yourself and help someone else.
And if I wrote a love song and told you that it was for you and me, that you would listen, would you take the time to find out what it means? We've been together so long, so long. At times I can't believe the things I see. We've been a long way, come such a long way, got such a long way. We've been a long way, got such a long way, got such a long way. We've been a long way, come such a long way, got such a long way. We've been a long way, come such a long way, got such a long way.
Wow. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Wow. wonderful to be here with you all. My name is Brian Caselli Jordan.
I am Imani Sanders Russell.
And since we're doing full names, my name is David Everett Stills.
Hey.
Yes.
And we are City,
City
Love.
Wow, it's been a wonderful Quaker-tastic day. We started out at 10 this morning with our youngest friends, kindergarten through 5th grade, and got to progressively work all the way through to the young adult friends and high school friends. So it's been a wonderful journey and just such brilliant sharings and brave sharings from the youth. And yeah, we're really excited to share some music with you all tonight and have some discussions. This next song is one we got to do with our young friends, our kindergarten through 5th grade students. And feel free to help us keep the beat, you know, whether that's stomping your feet, clapping, snapping, doing your dances, you know, a fork on your plate, whatever feels good, you know. Some of you might have an egg shaker around.
That's true for earlier.
People are different and people are the same. Why so many people out asking for change?
Some people got left out of the game, and some needed help, but nobody came. In this school, we're gonna care. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna be fair, and let's teach the world to do the same out there. People are different and people are the same. We all deserve food, love, and warmth each day. And you can't stand still on the moving train. If we can be love, we can be that change. In this school, we're gonna care. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna be fair.
And let's teach the world to do the same out there.
You see, one thing about people is that they have so many names like black, white, agnostic, him, her, and they. And in this puzzle language, to make the difference clear, pieces of our identities for individuals in our sphere. We're all the same, I mean kind of, because when people and long ago we decided that people are equal, but we keep working to make that legal. It's like a sequel with terms like equal and evil under the same eagle, but what's in the name? I mean, is history a factor? And people like me grow up to see that they can write a chapter and conjure up an image of the fantasy thereafter. Will they find success or will they meet certain disaster? People are definitely different and people aren't the same. We're all in this together and we all have different names. We all make different choices and we all see different gains. But how can we make it better if we all stay in our lanes?
Hey, but it won't work now.
It won't work now.
Said it won't work now.
It won't work now.
We got the love,
love, try to keep us apart,
but it won't work now. Said it won't work now. We got the love, love. In this school, we're gonna care. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna be fair. And let's teach the world to do the same out there. In this school, we're gonna care.
In this school,
We're gonna share.
in this school,
We're gonna be fair. And let's teach the world to do the same out there. I love me for being me, and I love you for who you are. If we feel we don't belong, then could we ever be free? See, our lives are tied up like a string on a shoe. And as you stand here with me, know that I also stand with you. There's no way that the dark can overcome our light, and we will be just fine. And yeah, we'll be alright. In fact, greater than great. So much joy now and to come. Woo! I can't wait for you, me, and everyone to be free. Hey,
but it won't work now. Said it won't work now. We got the love,
got it, yeah.
people are different and people are the same. Why so many people out asking to change? Some people got left out of the game. Some people nobody came. People are different and people are the same. Asking to change. Some people got left out of the game. Some needed help, but nobody came. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna be fair. And let's teach the world to do the same out there. In this school, we're gonna care. In this school, we're gonna share. In this school, we're gonna be fair. And let's teach the world to do the same out there.
Hey.
And if you can get your feet up for this part, you gotta do the foot dance.
All right, let me see.
You got it. Hey. Silly dance.
My shoes. I will do
the same for you. Golden rule.
Nice job.
All
Nice
right.
work.
Wow.
Ooh,
We
got
did-
the,
you know,
got the
and we
core
had,
workout in.
all I can see is our screen, so I didn't even get to see if anybody was foot dancing. I really hope some people were doing a little goofy foot dance with us, because sometimes you need to do that on a Saturday night. But we use that song as a chance to really get to talk with younger students, elementary age students, about our differences, especially that the differences mean different things, carry different weights, I should say. That, you know, we might be able to talk about foods that we like that in common and animals that we like in common, but when we start talking about differences such as race, skin color, religion, you know, languages we speak, and so many other aspects of identity, that it can really have impacts on how we're treated. And you know, we believe those conversations are so important to have with young
Blackberries
children.
in a medium-sized pot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we believe those conversations are so important to have with young students,
So-
because actually there's extensive research showing that prejudice forms very, very early on for young children, even as early as ages 2 and 3. And we have a chance to give structure, give shape, interrupt that. But if we're afraid to talk about those differences and talk about those realities, then we're leaving children to do guessing work about that. So yeah, we got to talk about our differences. We talked about times we may have been treated unfairly and what we can do if we're treated unfairly or if we see someone else being treated unfairly. And we would love to share another song with you. This one's called Make It Beautiful.
Yes, it got some dance moves in there, so feel free to join us while we're hitting some dance moves. Also, Brian may ask you to help keep the beat. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get stomped, clap, snap. And I'm just gonna tell you a story.
And actually, before we start, can we go into the grid view real quick? Because I just want to be able to see everybody doing the dance moves and singing along.
Yeah, you can. Don't hide from us. Yeah, there we go.
Let's see. I'm gonna stop the guitar.
Let's all get close for a minute.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wait, I don't even know how to do this. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. All right, now we can see all of you instead of like giant pictures of ourselves.
So,
as marvelous as we all look.
So Christy, I see you. She's looking a little skeptical. I see you, Christy. Good to see you. We're gonna need to do the dance moves from you, Jonathan, over there. I see you. Looks like you're working hard on something.
Zachary's got it going.
I know you're gonna help us too. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Lynn. Lynn's over there laughing. I see you. All right, let's all have some fun. Deborah gets it. I see you over there, Deborah. Good to see you. All right, here we go.
Some friends are saying in the chat that it's too quiet. Is there any way that we can turn up that volume? I just want to make sure that that's heard so that everyone can enjoy your beautiful music.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, let's see. Does it
sound a little better?
Should we do like a test just to sing
Yeah,
something?
let's do a test quick. And let me make sure this is pulling up the right. Yeah, that's using this thing. Okay.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Can you hear us better now? Can we see like with a thumbs up or maybe like go like this if we need to go a little higher?
Should we sing something?
Oh, some people are saying a little louder. Let's see.
And then we can try a little.
How about now? Is that a little better?
Da, 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 da.
Let's sing something to see if it's true.
Okay.
So that
Let's
we don't
just do
blast
one
them
more.
out.
I mean, you know, we didn't get to see you put your feet up, so why don't we do that last part?
Yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Put yourself in my shoes. I will do the same for you. Golden rule, golden school. There is the A. I will do the same for you. Golden rule, golden school. There is nothing we can do.
Oh, I saw all those feet.
There we go.
Warms my
They're
heart.
participating
Thank you.
now.
Come on, feet.
Okay.
Come on, feet.
Now, how'd that sound though? Can we get a thumbs up, thumbs down? Like thumbs up is good.
Hey.
High thumbs up means we need it louder.
We good? We good?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. Great. So.
All right.
All right.
Remember
Now
those dance moves.
now you just gotta help me with the rhythm, everybody, please. Like if I can see you visually, like you like a metronome, that will help me stay on task here. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Here's the story. Once upon a time, there was a boy and a girl. The girl came from far away. It felt like a different world. The boy lived down the street from the school. They both went in. One day, the boy said hi to the girl as she walked in. She smiled and said, "Hola." He thought it was strange. He had never really heard of that word until that day. But he smiled, waved, and extended his hand. He thought, we don't have to speak the same for us to be friends.
It may not be fair for our families. A lot of people still learning how to act kindly. We've come a long way, got such a long way, but we can make it better each day. So tell me what it's like to be in your skin, and tell me what it's like in the family you're in. I'm gonna make mistakes, but please believe that I care. I'll always do my best to listen and be there, cause
when you're with me, hey, we're gonna make it. Wave your hands from side to side, hey. Wave your hands from side to side.
Make it beautiful.
Hey. When you're with me, we're gonna make it what?
We're gonna make it equal. And we can show the people. And we can make the sequel.
As time went by, the boy and girl got close. The boy sometimes said things the girl did not know, but he never got frustrated. Patience was key. He would signal for her to help and point at something she could see, and then she would say a word and he would say it right back. And they spent all year doing exactly that. Sometimes the girl would go, they always took turns, and in a few short weeks there was so much they both had learned. And when summertime came, the boy hugged the girl and grinned. He said, "Eres mi amiga, you are my friend." She smiled, big and happy how the year turned out. They knew patience, love, and kindness helps the world go around.
When you're with me,
hey,
we're gonna make it beautiful.
Dance moves,
hey,
hey, yes, beautiful.
We're gonna make it beautiful. Sing along
when you're with me, we're gonna make it what?
We're gonna make it equal.
Make it equal.
Show the people,
and they can make a sequel.
When you're with me, when you're with me, I respect where you live and the color of your skin. I respect your language and your religion. It doesn't matter our clothes or how much money you got. We got each other and that's a lot. So tell me what it's like to be in your skin, and tell me what it's like in the family you're in. I'm gonna make mistakes, but please believe that I care. I'll always do my best to listen and be there. Go and sing with us.
When you're with me, hey, hey, we're gonna make it beautiful. Hey,
gonna make it beautiful.
Come on, make it beautiful.
Gonna make it beautiful.
Yes, when you're with me,
we're gonna make it equal.
And we can show the people, hey, and they can make a sequel. When you're with me. Yes.
Oh, a lot of dancers in the house.
Yes,
We love that.
come on.
We love that.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yes. And I mean, maybe in the chat box, you know, this was something, again, we did with kindergarten through 5th grade, and we know very few people in this Zoom room right now are in those grades. But we would love to just even hear if people want to drop in the chat box, just maybe a time that you may have been treated unfairly and someone stood up for you, or it's time that you saw someone else being treated unfairly and you felt compelled to stand up, and just a little bit of that so we can collect some stories in the chat box.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you, and we'll move on to our next song, and we can read some of those out or something like that.
That sounds great. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like a good plan.
So in our introduction, Elizabeth mentioned our bandmate Dwight couldn't make it tonight, and he is our resident Quaker in chief, as she said. I love that name. We got to get him like a desk label with that title on there. But yeah, he's taught us all so much about the Quaker tradition and meeting for worship and the beautiful contemplative practices that go along with it, and some of the great heroes like Bayard Rustin and others. Yeah. And so, you know, we made a little song years ago. We got to come and spend some time with PYM, and I just wanted to play 2 bars of this quick while people are writing some things in the chat box, hopefully. This goes, PYM, let's stand together. The world needs Quakers to make it better. A Quaker did that.
Know it, they sure know it.
A Quaker did that.
Yep.
PYM, let's stand together. The world needs Quakers to make it better. A Quaker did that. A Quaker did that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I say that for old time's sake.
Right, they were into it.
I still get that stuck in my head sometimes, and we love getting to rock with you all with that song back in the day.
They were feeling it just now.
But let's see, we have a few people wrote some things in the chat box here. Let's see, I was always picked last, and one day a very popular person picked me first. And let's see.
that might actually be the only one. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I'm seeing, but that's okay.
I'm typing. I'm a slow typer.
Oh, that's
Got
all
you,
right.
got
Take your
you.
time,
Thank
right?
you.
Take your time. Yeah,
we can come back and read them throughout.
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
I mean to put the pressure on you.
Yeah.
Speaking of putting pressure on people, Kathleen, I just got to tell you, I saw the head bobbing and the moves. That was nice. She was into that Quaker song. Very nice. Yeah, way to be.
We love it.
Yes, come on.
So, should we do colorblind next?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So this next song is one we got to share with the middle school and high school and young friends earlier today, and it's a song that's really important to us. It's called Colorblind, and you know, that name tries to capture a lot of it. You know, as growing up white in my family, I was really taught to be colorblind, and that, you know, race doesn't matter, we're all the same. You know, treat everyone kindly and equally, and just judge people by how they treat you. And I think it's a really beautifully intentioned philosophy, but you know, over time, I was helped to understand some of the problematic aspects of that by some wonderful friends and wonderful books. But yeah, just really understanding the role that race has played in my life and my family's life throughout the generations, and how that feeds into me and my life, and economically, politically, professionally, etc. Just how I'm able to move through the world. So really understanding that, and understanding also the counterpart of how so many people of color have been impacted by race, by prejudice, by systemic oppression because of race. So yeah, really just trying to use this song to open up some discussion and as a chance to ruminate on all that. But yeah, dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Born colorblind, I never understood the meaning of our skins. I never learned that we are equal but so different, running in a race that might begin with such a lead. Running on the backs of others, cotton dollars grown on native soil by toil of slave. Race invention walls between us, race is used against us, building fear and breeding hate. White supremacy, pervasive, written in the laws and taught in school, learned on TV. White start to wonder why brown can't just pick himself right off the ground and be like white. Just like whitewashed Jesus, white like founding fathers, sheriffs, judges, whites, like stars and stripes.
She said, I don't see color, you're just a human. Well, I'm happy she sees human, but there's way more to it. Erasing the color of my skin erases my experience. It feels like surface, but the deep parts are worth it. What about when police question me when I'm in your neighborhood? Did that never happen? Because you can't see my blackness. What about when work says my afro or locks are not professional? Did that never occur? Because you can't see my color, that's erasure. I'd rather you see the whole of me and not put holes in my story, choosing what makes you comfortable to see.
We are born as equals, but then some of us are fed with golden spoons while others starve. We are born as equals with 500 years of forward drawing lines into the sand. Drafting laws and separating housing, schooling, so we may not learn that we are one. One but many equal, different, woven of so many vibrant strands, the warmest quilts.
There's joy in my color, there's joy in my culture, there's joy. Hey. My ancestors had joy in the song, freedom in the rhythm. My bloodline is strength and courage and intuition. Hey. From the barbecues and the edges laid, from the brotherhood to the hip-hop sway, the stereotypes we fit into and the ones we don't get into. Either way, I'm black, and either way, there's a story. I am complex, I am not simple, beautiful, and don't need no credentials.
Want to hear your story? I just want to tell your story. I just want to share my story. I just want to hear your story. I just want to see your colors. I just want to show my colors. I just want to hear your story. I just want to tell my story. I just want to see your colors. I just want to show my colors. I just want to tell my story. I just want to hear your story.
There's joy in my culture. There's joy. There's joy. Go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, and I see it looks like some people put a few things in the chat box actually.
I think
Hey.
Let's see. Would you want to read any of those, Dave?
Oh, sure. No, absolutely sure. That's exactly what I want to do. I always felt really insecure about being weird in middle school, and instead of telling me that I wasn't weird, is what most people did, a friend embraced the parts of me that may not be considered normal. Okay, I see.
Okay.
By everyone else. Those parts of me do exist and are important to me. She really validated that. I am thankful for that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's yeah.
Like, don't try to tell me I'm not weird or unique or special. Like, I am, and I know that, and that's great. That's what's great about me. I love that. I love that. Superpower.
I was a new kid at school in 8th grade. Someone greeted me warmly. Try to some technical stuff. Somebody greeted me warmly, encouraging me to sit near him, and we're still friends 4 decades later.
Wow, 40 years.
Wow.
That's a beautiful thing. One simple gesture can go so far.
Wow.
You want to grab one of these?
Sure, yeah. And let's see. At my high school graduation, when my Cambodian classmates had their names read to receive their diplomas, some bullies I was seated next to in alphabetical order and endured all high school started making fun of how their last name sounded different. It ruined the day for me and probably my experience of all graduations thereafter.
Ooh.
Wow, yeah. Yeah. Even just witnessing that ugliness, you know, it's...
So what happened was, graduations became a trigger now.
Yeah. Yeah, a day that should have been such a celebration of the hard work of those students.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, after this song, we were hoping to transition into some breakout groups. And I think, let's see, Olivia, I think we were hoping to maybe do breakout groups of 3 or 4, and they can be randomly assigned. But what we were going to ask everyone to discuss, and we'll drop it in the chat box, was to really think about, you know, what does your racial identity mean to you right now? Or what are some of your thoughts about race in the age of uprising after the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others? So just a chance to really share about that. It can be what have been some of the conversations in your household or in your community about the violence, the ongoing violence, the historical violence, and the present moments. And we had some, you know, amazing sharings from the youth earlier today, and I hope that some of you will be lucky enough to be in a group with some of the youth and really hear their brilliance shine through and their fresh perspective.
I want to make sure I spelled names right too, because I always mess up Brianna. But I want to make sure.
Maybe there's an A, E-A,
E-A.
and then no O. Yeah.
Okay.
That seems right.
Brianna Taylor. Can we Google it just real quick?
Sure, yeah.
And so just so you know, as we set this up and get these chat rooms ready, this next song after this is actually going to be one that the youth created earlier today who we spoke to. So they were really courageous, and we gave them a prompt and they didn't have much time, and they actually recorded parts. They either did like a rap or some singing. One group actually made a slideshow. So that's going to be the next song in this show. So not to put any pressure on you, but they've already responded to this prompt. So you're all of you adults, we're going to need, you know, you to be Have you noticed that I'm kind of teasing you all a little bit? Obviously, we're gonna come in at our comfort level, and then we're gonna go from there, obviously. But I just want you to know that the children have already done this today.
They did a great job.
Yep.
Great job.
So that's the
youth, the young people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some older too.
So that's the prompt in the chat. And what now? I don't know who's running this, but what are we doing? You said 4 breakout groups, Brian?
I think groups of 4.
Groups of 4, yeah.
Olivia, does that seem doable?
Yes, I'm gonna do 4 to 5 per group because not everyone will join the breakout space to give the end result being 3 to 4 people.
Okay.
Sounds great. Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. You'll just let me know when you're ready. I just need about another minute or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I think we'll take maybe, what do you think, about 6 to 8 minutes to start? No, it's a lot of people. So maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, what is our time? How much time do we have? That's what I.
Yeah, at 7:56. So I think that'll bring us back at 8:10. And then let's see, maybe Melinda, can we get a reminder? What time should we be wrapping up at? Just so we don't, because sometimes we want to fit so many things in that we get overzealous. Around 8:30. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So
we can do it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so we'll take about 10 minutes in our groups. So just please be mindful of sharing the mic with one another and letting everyone get a chance to share in your group. And yeah, and we'll look forward to coming back as a group, and we can have a few people share out to the broader group. We can unmute you and have you share your voice.
And while these are being set up, are there any questions about what you're about to do? I don't know if you know how to do the digital raise hand feature, because we've got like 5 pages of people, so we might not see you if you just raise your hand like this.
Cool.
Or you could, I guess, chat a question too, I guess.
Just as a reminder, for folks who want to use the electronic raise your hand, go to the participants list at the bottom of most screens. Click on that and scroll to the bottom and you'll see a blue electronic hand. And you just click on that, and then City Love will be able to see who's in line to ask questions or provide input. The breakout spaces are ready, so whenever you're ready, just let me know and I'll send the invitations.
Yeah, you can send them right away. Thank you, Olivia.
Okay. Of course, my pleasure.
Okay, I see.
Waiting, actually, maybe we can read a few more of the things people wrote in the chat box. So one that iPhone Elaine wrote was, I moved from northern town to south of the Mason-Dixon line at age of 6. I was seated at a counter when a black man came in and asked for a sandwich. He was told he couldn't eat here, and he replied, I'll take it out. My mother said, if he can't eat here, then we won't eat here. We got up and walked out. That was 1948. Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yep.
1948.
If he can't eat here, I will not be eating here.
Yeah.
Period.
And Emma shared, there was a racially biased firing in my former workplace due to an accumulation of factors. I left the job a few months later and I offered for the person to list me as a fair reference so that their experience doesn't have to adversely affect their future employment. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yes.
Thank you.
Standing up.
Living all together.
Okay, let's see. I think we should probably all be back by this point.
So I'm going to be honest, and I don't know exactly who is in which group, but we wanted to invite 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 confident souls to talk about, maybe to summarize what you discussed in your group. If everybody in there is comfortable doing that. Who'd like to go first?
And Olivia, would you be able to unmute people if they do the raise hand function? I'm not sure if we have that capacity on our end.
I think folks can unmute themselves.
Oh, great.
All week together. So I definitely am happy to assist with that. But I think for the settings are so that people can unmute themselves.
Perfect. Oh, that's ideal. Okay, so then jump on in. Anybody that wants to share.
Well, okay, let me just say a quick thing. We didn't have a young middle school friend in the group, but as we shared, one of the things that came up was about the fact that through great good fortune, I have a really close relationship with a couple of young boys of African descent, and it has made the difference between knowing and being able to really feel and viscerally know more parts of what it is that experience is, and how how traumatizing it is. The boys are traumatized by a number of things in their lives, which is why I mentor. But recognizing that the racial part is not even recognizing, but just feeling it as, I'm in the car with one of them and he's being, suddenly the cops are there pointing flashlights in because we're sitting in the car talking about school. And they're going at him about, has he got any drugs? He looks real nervous, blah, blah, blah. Just, and that's every day. Not well every day. That's way too often.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's. Oof. Thank you. We
I think
appreciate.
it's one thing to know something intellectually, and it's another thing to really feel it and get a glimpse. We can never know, as white folks, we can never fully know, but we can get a glimpse, and hopefully that can fuel our action and fuel our work to make this the world that all of us need to feel respected, to feel safe, to feel valued, and to be able to flourish.
And proximity. I wasn't sure your name, was that Charles? Proximity is key in that situation too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Who's next?
I can share, which is that for me, I attended the Continuing Revolution Transformative Conflict and Justice Conference this year. And for me, what has really stuck with me was that, one of the facilitators did a lot of exercises to invite us into our bodies and to think about how racism and white supremacy has affected us, and to think about all of the violence that our bodies have experienced. And yeah, to be invited to think about the racism and white supremacy that I house, even though I've never sought that out. I've never surrounded myself with people who are outwardly racist. I've never thought in my head that white people, I've never chosen that white people are better than other people of any other color. And to admit that, to be able to say, I have that. And even though I've never fed it, it's there, and it's a part of the fabric of our society. And I help to make up society. And so I need to look at that in myself and actively work to cleanse and release that and transform that and bring it to the surface and not have it be taboo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the youth today in the middle school shared a beautiful quote. They said, or I would love to share a quote from them. They said, you know, I didn't ask for this situation as a white person. I didn't ask for this world, but it is my responsibility to make it better. And I think that really captures so much of it. That, you know, as white folks, our liberation is absolutely bound up in ending white supremacy. It's what we need to do to heal. It's a poison inside of us that we just get foisted on us. Just like yeah, it's something that we all need to reckon with for our liberation and for the liberation of all people. For sure.
Is anyone else willing to share?
I'm willing to share from myself.
All
as
right.
far as that's concerned. I'm not particularly from the group. I've had a fair number of conversations with people over the uprisings, over the murder of George Floyd, over we're understanding each other. And it's interesting because what I've come away with from my conversations, from my listening, is someone said to me, I hope this isn't the flavor of the month, because there are so many really difficult situations which we in this country have had, which we haven't dealt with. We have intellectualized, we have talked about it, but the doing of it is the doing of relationships is so difficult. There need to be, in my humble opinion, a lot of courageous conversations among all of us people, no matter what skin we are, because we're all people. And but to bring that about, that's the difficult part. There are some people are starting actually a grassroots movement called Courageous Conversations, where people are brought together to speak to each other and get to our common humanity, because that's where it's at, as it were. I will just give one example of my own experience, as opposed to my intellectual analysis. I spoke to an employee here at my retirement community who is a Black woman. She is a housekeeper. And basically we've gotten to know each other a bit. And basically I said, so what do you make of all this? And she said, when my son goes, he's a college age kid, when my son goes out in the car, my husband and I tell him, if a cop pulls you over, don't say anything, don't do anything, see if you can give us a call. And I thought, I have sons. I never had to do that. So I understood her as a mother on that level. Anyway, I'm taking up a lot of time.
Thank you for Anne. Thank you for sharing. And that is definitely an experience that I'm familiar with too. Going just as soon as I got to a certain age, the rules changed, and there are certain protocol and just things that you need to know about. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and I think it's going to come up a little bit later tonight too, for sure. But that is the reality that you're mentioning right there. So it's a matter of, yeah, I don't want to. Thank you for bringing up that point.
And I really appreciated you sharing. I just wanted to say one thing in regards to courageous conversations. And I think we absolutely need to have courageous conversations, and we do need interracial dialogue, absolutely. But I think also as we engage in that, I think being as mindful as we can about what kind of emotional labor, what kind of psychological labor we might be asking of someone, you know, in that process, and really recognizing what other resources are out there in terms of books, in terms of movies, documentaries, and just making sure that we're not coming with questions to someone who might already be, you know, who might receive that as a trauma in the moment as they're trying to deal with so many other events in the world right now. And so it's a fine balance, and it's a very delicate thing. But yeah, I think that's something that there's actually something in my school where we say 3 before me, and say if you have a question about a racialized issue, to check with 3 like really trusted white colleagues first, or 3 trusted white friends before coming to a friend or colleague of color with that request. Because again, honoring, like, you know, if someone's got 50 white people around them and they're one of the only people of color in the space, they may be getting asked that by a lot of white folks, and that can be a lot to carry. So just to name that, but absolutely to interracial dialogue and courageous conversations. So just to throw a little nuance in there.
And I see our time. Do we have anybody else who'd like to share, or?
Yeah, I'd like to share very quickly. I'm Anthony. I'm Germantown Monthly Meeting Eugene Friends Peace Center. For those that are on phone, I'm an African American, and 2 things I shared in my group. The first thing I shared was that regarding not seeing color. It's very, very important to me that you do see my color, because when you see my color, you can empathize and sympathize with me as an African American and all the trials and tribulations that I have gone through as an African American. And I believe that if you don't see color, then you don't see that. The second thing for me as an African American, you know, on any given moment, I could be very angry, hateful, hopeless, in regards to the atrocities that African Americans have faced. But that's not a good space for me. And one of the things that keeps me centered and keeps me grounded is the Lord's Prayer. When I say, God, forgive me for my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me. And that puts me in a centering, grounding space where I have an attitude of gratitude and thanksgiving, opposed to those other emotions that keeps me in that space where it's not good for me. And on any given time, I can go to that space, but because of spaces like this, and as I said, when I truly say, forgive me for my transgressions, because I'm not perfect, and as I forgive those who trespass against me. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
I think that with these conversations, we all have to be, it's just like, you know, those of us, we work with children. As children get older, I always say, we have to be willing to lean into hard conversations and accept the fact that many of these we're not gonna have closure right when we want it. Closure sometimes it's a fantasy, right? There are a lot of things happening with us. Someone said we're all people, and there's a lot of things happening with people, and we're focusing on one particular thing right now. So I want to say thank you, and I want to encourage you, when you have people who you know are safe to talk to continue to have these conversations, and to be okay with the level of frustration, sadness, even sometimes a little bit of depression that can sneak in there, as long as you're still feeling safe when you're having these conversations, because we're not talking about sunshine and flowers and cotton candy and fun. We're talking about things that are really hard, that affect many people in an extremely negative way. So we're not going to solve it in one conversation, but the work that we're doing, whenever everybody talks about the work, that's what we're doing right now. So I want to applaud you on that, and encourage you to continue to lean into that discomfort whenever you're able.
want to talk about the songs?
Yeah, let's do it. So earlier we had the pleasure of working with many, well, I was gonna say many young people, but it was definitely like probably 13 altogether, if even that.
Small but mighty group.
Small but mighty group. And we performed some of the songs that we performed for you all. We also performed them for the youth, and we had them come up with some creations. If they could do a song, we asked them to make some lyrics to a song to talk about how they can be upstanders, how they can stand up for people. And we also gave them the option of being able to make a slideshow about being an upstander. So they came up with an awesome, amazing song and also put an amazing slideshow together, and they didn't have much time. So the fact that this is so amazing is very fascinating. But we all ask you at this time to just tune into the song, tune into your screens. We're going to share it and see the beautiful slideshow that they all made.
Oh, they're saying they can't hear it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really low. Can we turn the track up?
Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, shine your light. Stand up, stand up.
Are we sharing the screen too?
Oh, step back, let our brothers speak. Step back, let our mothers
I think louder is
down a little
Step
bit.
back, let the
Louder is safer.
Step up, let the truth speak. Step up, let my voice teach. Step up, let the love preach. Everybody can learn more. Look for courses, blocks, and more. Let me feel business new. Go and teach, share some of you.
Okay.
Stand up for what's right. Stand up, shine your light. Stand up for the world we need.
Need to help to not ignore, to pay attention to. Stand up. Stand up.
Everybody can learn more. Look for courses, books, and more. Then we feel fit that's new. Go with me, share some of you. Stand up for what's right. Stand up, shine your light. Stand up for the world we need. Oh, step back, let our brothers speak. Step back, let our mothers speak. Step back, let the silence speak. Step up, let the truth speak. Step up, let my voice teach. Step up, let the love preach.
Stand up. Stand up.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay.
Amazing.
So
Wow. Okay.
And I'm not sure what the sound quality was, but the youth made all of that, and they made that slideshow too. So the slideshow you saw was created by them. That was completely them. Everything was that was amazing. Nice work, folks.
And again, on extremely short timeline, so very impressive. I think we're a little bit over time. Do we have time to do one more song to close things out? Is that all right?
Yes, one more song.
Okay.
Which one?
Should we do We Belong Together?
Okay. So quick intro for this, which leads, and I'm so sorry, I'll try to be as short as possible, but I'm going to talk about my own children. I have two children. My daughter, she's 5. Her name is Delia. And my son, he's 7. His name is Everett. And I'm going to try to give you the short story. But as a Black person, I'm not saying this. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because it is important to have these conversations all of the time, and because there's a lot riding on it. And as a father, it is a kick in the gut every time I realize that it's not just me. I'm 39 years old, and I've gotten used to those stories about cops and guns, being pulled over, being stopped when you're in the wrong neighborhood. And it's not good, and it shakes me up, but it's me. It's starting to happen to my children now. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And long story short, a woman threatened to call the cops on my children. She threatened my wife. She said, well, you don't know what the cops will do if I call them. These are interesting times, and people are being emboldened, whether or not they realize it. And I'm just so thankful to all of you for being willing to talk and work through this. I wish that woman was here too, even though I'm really upset with her. But that's something that my wife and I had to deal with. And then we had to talk to our children about how the cops aren't actually going to come when we weren't even sure if it was true or not. They're young, and we all know that children deserve the right to be children. But the truth is, those preparations are important. We have to prepare for different things, and my wife and I are now preparing them for growing up with brown skin in the U.S. And we've been doing it, but now it's intensified. So even with the George Floyd murder, and with all of the hype and all of the media, this kind of thing is happening to people all of the time. And it's wonderful when it's terrible when things happen, but it's wonderful when so many of us are aware of it. So when Brian and I were getting together, he asked me to write a verse. And this next song, you're going to hear me, I'm going to get a little emotional, because there's a verse in it where I'm exactly talking about my own children. And so, yeah, in my mind, there's never a chance that we can't give up. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And the more of us who are aware and who are working, the better chance we have of having a safer, more fair world. And then we start working on all that systematic stuff as well and getting to the root of it. And it's going to take a long time, but I'm just glad to see all of us here. So we can't do it apart. If we're divided, then there's no way. There's no way that this actually works out. The next song is called We Belong Together. We belong together, the new American dream, the American dream. Ooh, yeah, we belong together, the new American dream. Ooh, the true American dream. Ooh, the future is bright, the future is bright, the future is bright when we shine our light. The future is bright, we belong together, the new American dream, the American dream. Ooh. It's the true American dream that we're talking about. If you believe there's a better way or a different route, look inside, tell me, can you see in your mind's eye that what is true is superior to the lie? Division being spread in this land of blue and red and white. I close my eyes and I lay down in my bed at night. The formless forces of evil are gaining footholds. The indignation, my pillow is where my head goes, but I can't sleep and my heart weeps. Whoa, I have 2 children and they already know they won't receive the love their mom and I show. And this world is less safe for 2 brown children as they grow. Now let me back up from that. I know community and opportunity is the rap. The rap I'm saying is the way, and it's the message for gap. The gap between the minds of you and me, transcending the map. We belong together, birds of different feathers, no matter the weather. Division makes us small, silence will heal us all. Wake up, this is the call, together. Belong together, the new American dream. Ooh, American dream. Ooh, we belong together, the new American dream, the American dream. Ooh, the future is bright, the future is bright, the future is bright when we do what's right. The future is bright, the future is bright, shine bright right now. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate getting to spend time with the youth today. Thank you for all the light that you shine in the world and all the hard work you're willing to engage in. Let's keep standing up together.
Thank you so much for coming and performing for us this evening. It was very inspiring.
Thank you for having us.
We will take a 3-minute break, and then we will have a few minutes to talk about the epistle until 9 o'clock, and we have a hard stop at 9 o'clock. So those who wish to discuss the epistle please be here for the next 20 or 25 minutes.
Jonathan, before
Yes.
folks start to leave the call, this would be a wonderful time before City Love leaves us. If we could please take our picture together.
Let's have a picture. Yes, please.
Thank you. Before our break, Shelley is all lined up to take our picture, and I believe she wants us to, well, Shelley, you give the instructions on how long you want us to stay still for.
Awesome. Thank you, Olivia.
Yes.
Could everyone please hold your smile for at least 5 seconds after I say cheese, and then I'll say we're good. All right? Cheese. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shelley.
Shelley.
All right,
Thank you,
3-minute break, and then
everybody.
we'll talk about the epistle.
Thank you, City Love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will a copy of the epistle be ready somewhere for us to look at?
Does anybody know if we'll be able to project a copy of the epistle?
I think it's probably best if people can actually think about their own experience of what they're feeling of rising out of where we are. What we don't want is a situation where we have over 50 people editing a document that's written. What we really need is a sense, your sense, of the spirit that is arising out of our yearly meeting. That would be the most helpful. So we unfortunately do not have the capacity to copy out of the chat. So we'd love to hear what you are going to tell us. And we're going to ask you to also email it to the session's email address. It's possible, perhaps, that someone can re-share the screen with the epistle because that was available before. I'm not clear that that's going to be the best way, though, for us to hear what's really on your heart.
Okay, I would like to jump in if it's okay.
Rita, I think we're waiting 3 minutes first to give people a chance to stretch their legs.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to write down my thoughts. There are 3 points to make.
Thank you, Rita.
So Rita, just know that we'll be happy to hear your thoughts, and we'll be even happier if you can send them to us because I'm not going to remember them.
All right, good. Thank you. That sounds perfect.
I shall write I shall I.
Friends, we have until 9 o'clock for any comments that people want to make about the epistle, and we may take a few minutes of that time for some closing worship. I remind you that if you want to submit anything in writing, you can email it to sessions@pym.org.
And
Does
I
anybody
am
wish
also
to,
taking notes. I just, I am taking notes.
Taking notes as well.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lewis Lefevre, Trenton Monthly Meeting. I was very much helped spiritually by the reflection of the words of John Lewis, representative in the Bible study. And I would like that mentioned somewhere in the epistle. I think it's especially important that we connect our Bible study with the spiritual messages that we're afforded by people of that caliber.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. And folks, please use the raise hand function by tapping on the participants at the bottom of your screen and then looking at the list. And then on my screen, it's at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a raise hand button. So if anybody, and so Rita Varley.
Thank you. I was tremendously affected by all the sessions that Marcel Martin led. And the points I want to make in the epistle is that this year, as COVID-19 imposed extended isolation on friends, many friends seized this time as an opportunity to deepen their connection to spirit. And then Marcel led there are 2 pre-retreat sessions and the first yearly meeting session. She led us into the fire of the spirit of the early friends. And these 2 things came together, and every time there was a breakout session, people poured out depth of spirit connection that I've never seen in 50 years in this yearly meeting. And it felt like a Quaker revival of some sort. And I'm not sure it carried all the way through in the same way, but it's present and it's filtering into the rest of the yearly meeting. But that was unique for me and shining light, because I think we haven't done that. And Marcel was very graceful about raising that reality without making people feel bad about it, but leading us into the experience of it. And it was so rich and different and priceless. And I'm experiencing it myself in my life. And at this point, it feels like it's the only thing that matters, because the spirit can lead us into the depths of all these things that other things we're doing barehanded on the spot. And the spirit doesn't hold back. It helps us move more bravely with fire, but riding on the spirit.
Thank you, Rita. Anybody else?
I wanted to mention something that a friend sent in a private message to me, which was that the original epistle that I read misgendered Zenaida Peterson, who uses they, them pronouns, not she, her. So we will make that addition. And I apologize for the oversight.
Thank you. Ellen Deacon.
I'm very glad for these additions. I think it is really important to capture the ferment that has taken hold of us as a body. It probably reflects what's going on in the world around us, but we have this gift of prior connection and deep commitment. So there's so much in it that I love and appreciate. And there are a few places where words strike me as being not saying what we mean. And so I'm frustrated that I can't look at it physically. There may be somebody else you can speak with that will also see those things, but I would like it not to go out not saying what we really want to say.
So Ellen, could you be a little more specific? You said firmness as a body. I don't understand what that means.
Say that again.
You said something about firmness as a body where we are, and I'm not quite clear.
Firmness. F-E-R-M-E-N-T.
Thank you. This is my hearing problem.
And I'm glad you captured anything I said because I won't remember that part. But I hope that the staff will make it available somewhere that we can access overnight and we can offer you. No?
We have to do it. Right after we're finished here, we are preparing to write the final piece that will come to you in the morning. So we'll do our best to.
There was one word very confusing.
Okay.
And I don't know how to communicate with you about that. So if you can send me an email.
Can we put it in the chat?
I don't see the document before I remember what it is. So.
I'm wondering if someone can share their screen because I am not able to share my screen.
No, we can't share.
We can't share the screen?
Oh, there we go.
There it is. Thank you. I bet Olivia made that happen.
That would be TJ, actually. Thank you, TJ.
Oh. Someone.
Can you keep going, please, slowly? I think it's on that, our second speaker had a sober offering. Stop. Tenderly but clearly given of unrecognized early Quaker history regarding the practice of slavery and tendencies not welcomed but shunned that have kept that history hidden. That word, that's a confusing phrase. It needs clarifying. It doesn't say, I don't know what I think I know what you're trying to say, but it doesn't say it.
Ellen, I totally agree. That word was me putting it in there because I couldn't find a better word. I welcome suggestions for better words.
Okay, slavery.
Conflict and anger were not welcomed.
How about challenges?
Challenges not welcomed but shunned? What do friends think about this? I agree it's better than tendencies.
So what we can do right now is note that.
Yeah.
If someone thinks of something, they could put it in the chat or maybe mention it later so that we can hear what other people are thinking.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Ellen. I really appreciate your advice.
I think that part of what is in here are the pieces that Melissa has suggested don't need to be in here. And we will be looking at those as well. The detailed stuff that's maybe more of a, I forget what Melissa said, but it felt like maybe some of the stuff we could take out because what we're really after is what are we taking? Paul, I think you were going to say something.
Do we simply mean that we did not take on the responsibility of slavery within Quakerism as we should have? I don't know what the tendency sentence means, but I think squarely we did not face practices within Quakerism as squarely as we should have.
I think the tendencies we've identified already as the ways that people were acting that were shunned that had to do with bad and good behavior. But we'll talk about that.
You'll find your word.
Yeah, we'll find the words.
Thank you for this work.
So I'm hearing a call for in the last paragraph, we talk about groundedness, unity. I'm hearing a call for more emphasis on the connectedness we have felt, particularly in Marcel's workshops. Is that the sense of Friends? Thank you.
Yeah, and Yelena, in fact, that's the sentences I was looking for in my notes that I did not find. That I think Rita picked up on the fire piece that then we lift up in the later session. So I think if we begin with that, the invitation that Marcel had, I think we have words from what Rita said to begin it that way. And then I think it's really helpful. Thank you.
I wasn't able to attend that, but if she began that with inviting fire, and our plenary last night spoke of fire.
Exactly.
That can be woven together.
Yes.
Or connected in some way, framing it, that we have been called to fire our hearts and our actions in the face of what's going on in today's world.
Thank you, Ellen. Yes, we will definitely take that under serious consideration.